What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Monday night's late night agenda, where, look, there is only one topic we're really going to be focusing on to kick off this one tonight, and that is, of course, the leaked video with David Coote. I did a reaction earlier on to it. I was doing a video with David Lynch just as it broke as well. So tonight I wanted to come on to see how you guys are feeling about it, because obviously I'm going to have my say, and as our intro song goes, I am going to tell it straight. A lot of people in the comments of the video earlier on were just asking me why I was so calm. I think I have to just process, and I have to think it through before I speak from the heart. I have to cover the topic, of course, from a professional side, or as much as I can without getting us in trouble on the channel. But I think you can see by tonight's thumbnail where I'm going to go with this. It is utterly disgusting at a minimum, but we will go through it all tonight. We're also going to be speaking about the international break and what that means for Liverpool. Trent Alexander-Arnold's injury, of course, as well. But there is only one place to start, ladies and gentlemen, and that is, of course, with the David Coote video. So we've put together a bit of a timeline here that we're going to show you how this unfolded over the course of the day. And I think the timeline will speak to the type of character we're dealing with here with David Coote as well, because obviously we're all going to be a bit hot under the collar. We're going to be frustrated. We're going to be angry. We're going to be screaming for blood. But it gives you an insight into the rationale and thought processes of the man when I go through this for you. So I will in a moment. Just want to say again, thank you to Marco. It's in gifted a membership there as well. Appreciate it. So look, I'm going to run through the timeline of these events as we seen them and got them here today. So earlier on today at 3 o'clock, we were to record a video with David Lynch. About 10 to 3, this comes to my attention about the David Coote video. So obviously I have a quick watch of the video. Connor has a quick look on social media. And we then start to compile a list of offences that David Coote has been involved in with regards to Liverpool. And then we see the reaction in the media, and of course from him to this. So I'm going to talk you through how this day unfolded and why David Coote is not to be trusted, in my opinion. And that's the fairest I'm going to be with it until I read through this timeline for you. So the video came to our attention anyway, and if you've watched the video, what we see are a couple of things. We don't know the exact time frame of the video, although it's believed it's in and around the COVID time, because of course they were speaking about social distancing and a few other bits and pieces in the video. So firstly, we have to talk about the fact that he's there mocking social distancing while sitting beside somebody laughing about the fact that they're 2 meters away from each other when they were clearly inches away from each other. So that sets up the tone, I think, for the video. Then we've got the part where he's asked what he thinks of Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool by the other person in the video, and he said Jurgen Klopp is a Clint, let's just say, for want of a better phrase, and he doesn't really like Liverpool too much either. Also in this video, we had seen the other person say, we hate Scousers. You know, very clear, very straightforward, and summarising his own video. The second part, though, which is interesting, is he calls him a German, you know what, as well. So throwing a little bit of xenophobia in there as well, Mr. Coote, why not? But then the funny thing happened. So the reports started to come out on social media from many Liverpool fans, and Steve Hoare of Redmen TV posted up just to give a few examples of what David Coote has officiated over and presided over with regards to Liverpool. So Manchester United goal at Old Trafford where Divock Origi was fouled and it wasn't brought back by VAR. Guess who was in there for that one? David Lynch. Another one was Jordan Pickford. Remember, he came out, cleaned out Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk then had to miss the whole season with an ACL. Guess who was on VAR for that one? That's right, it was Mr. David Coote. On top of that, remember last year, one of the incidents that I speak about quite a bit on the channel, which is Martin Odegaard going full Harlem Globetrotter. You'll never guess who was on VAR for that game as well. Okay, maybe you will guess. Yes, it was David Coote. And the Rodri handball against Everton that could have given us a league title. Do you know who was on VAR for that one? That's right, it was David Coote. Are we seeing a pattern yet, ladies and gentlemen? So we already, as Liverpool fans, believe that Coote doesn't like Liverpool, certainly doesn't like Jurgen Klopp. But now we've got some video evidence of it. Or do we? Because he started to go and start his defence, shall we say. And first of all, he claimed it was AI. So, tried to say, firstly, that the video was nothing to do with him and that it was AI. So, let me start reading some of this from you. Some people then, where's this one? David Coote has been suspended with immediate effect following a full investigation. The POMOL will not be commenting further until the process is complete. This is the sickening part though. The Mirror ran with a story that said Premier League referee David Coote vehemently denies inappropriate conduct and has been insistent to referees chief, the PGMOL, that the viral video in which he appears is not genuine. So he was going down the it's AI route. It's not genuine. That wasn't me on the video. Somebody's clearly made this up. Only for that to be backtracked then very quickly, where apparently he did admit that it was him in the video. He did say those things about Klopp and Liverpool, but here's the kicker. He doesn't remember saying them. Why might that have been? Well, I have my own ideas based off the video. You know, people think it was a night out with maybe a couple of drinks taken, perhaps. I, as somebody who has been around the social scene for my entire life and have friends who socialise quite frequently, would suggest that maybe there was something else in there causing that arrogance from David Coote. Now, ironically, he speaks about Jurgen Klopp being arrogant and not wanting to speak to arrogant people, whilst coming across as an arrogant piece of shit in the video. So I have my own thoughts on perhaps what's perked him up a little bit watching this video, but you know, each to their own. We don't know anything for certain. But then very quickly, it became clear that he's just a liar. Because if you deny, one, that the video's real, then you admit that it's real, and then you say you don't remember it. These are all patterns of behaviour that I think we are perfectly within our rights to say forms a picture of Mr. David Coote and the type of person that he is. Now, it is up to the PGMOL, the Premier League, and everybody concerned to do their investigation, and we will see what comes of it. But no more do I want to hear that Liverpool aren't being shafted by referees. No more do I want to hear that Scousers are once again always the victims and are inventing these type of scenarios. We have seen very fucking clearly, make no mistake about it, that referees have shafted us on occasion. Now, I don't think we're the only club that gets shafted by referees. I would say every fan base out there has 2 or 3 referees that they feel aren't very fond of their club. And what we also need to have a conversation here as well about is the nonsense of referees all professing to support clubs like Notts County, Altrincham, and lower level clubs so they can officiate in the Premier League. The only one I'm aware of who's really fessed up to being a fan of a Premier League club is Jared Gillett from Australia, who's a Liverpool fan and thus won't officiate any Liverpool games. Absolute common sense stuff. This is disgusting. Now, it isn't for me to say what should happen here. It's a process and it needs to be gone through. But even if we're saying that this is a lad on the night out, not speaking about work, I've seen that argument. I've seen people come up to go, look, this is just a lad shitting about people he doesn't like in work. And that happens all the time. We all do it. We all go out and say it. But we all haven't signed clauses, which I'm sure he has, not to bring the game or the profession into disrepute. And that is exactly what he's done here. So I'm going to hand it over to you guys to read some of your comments, because you know my take on it. I think he's an absolute lowlife. And this is before, by the way, we get into the other iffy stuff that he's been doing, sending other dodgy videos, which will all, I'm sure, do the rounds occasionally, and you'll get to see them yourselves. But this speaks to, in my opinion, the PGMOL in general. And it speaks to the calibre of person, perhaps, that they're attracting to these roles. So let's go back to the game against Aston Villa that just happened this weekend. And I want to pull people up on one thing, which, to be fair to Dermot Gallagher on Ref Watch, he did raise. Remember when Mohamed Salah was through on goal and he was clipped by Leon Bailey, and then Darwin Núñez rounded Emi Martinez and scored? Well, the referee didn't play an advantage there. The referee very clearly indicated that that was no foul. No foul. Why? How? In what world? Even Dermot Gallagher couldn't comprehend how the referee doesn't think that was a foul and a red card. And from there on, it just shows you what we're up against. Now, I know that Aston Villa fans will have one or two instances where they feel like maybe they should have had a penalty. Fair enough, we can discuss them as well. But this man right here clearly has something against Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. So at the bare minimum, in my humble opinion, should be nowhere within any reach of influence to Liverpool or their league credentials or their title ambitions. We've got to be honest about this now. We've got to stop pretending that referees maybe don't have inbuilt dislikes of people. We have to stop. Let's be adult about this. Because I don't know if this has impacted us over the course of a season or two. I have my own take on it, and I feel it probably did, but I've no proof of that. But what we can say without any hesitation is this needs to provoke a conversation around the PGMOL, the referees, and the handling of these type of situations, because that man right there should play no further part in the Premier League, in my opinion, because that is a shithouse video to make, and he knows, because in the second video, he says to the guy, well, this video obviously can't go out. And then the guy there with him, being the shithouse that he is, also says, well, obviously we're good guys. We're not going to ruin a man's career, only for the video to get out somehow. So how did the video get out then? If it's only in the hands of one person, how did it get out? It's almost as if he's as much of a lowlife as Coote. So I'm going to go to you guys now and see what you have to say, because I'm absolutely fuming about this, and I'm watching my P's and Q's because I don't want to get in trouble over it. So, Rusba, thank you for your super chat, my friend, said, what do you think the right course of action / penalty for Coote? I personally think he should be banned from our games and forever go to prison, wink wink. So, the thing is, let's say he was banned from officiating over any of our games. I don't think that's enough, and I'm going to try and explain why. One of the incidents that we're speaking about here that impacted us was a game between Manchester City and Everton. So even if he isn't refereeing or officiating over our games as a fourth official or a VAR, he still has the opportunity to shaft us, as we've seen. So I think if they decide that there's been a wrongdoing here and that this violates rules, we need to see the book thrown at them. Because Liverpool and our fans, we did take the moral high ground when Konstantin Hadziakis was throwing elbows at Andy Robertson. All of us said, no, don't want him sacked, don't want the guy to lose his career. It was a heat of the moment thing, he made a mistake. And we asked what would have happened if it was the other way around. So I'm going to pitch it like this. To all of you people out there who are trying to say like this is no big deal, we need to admit two things here. One, if you're in that camp, I would suggest you're most likely somebody that has no interest in Liverpool doing well or just likes to see us undermined. So you can go fuck yourself. And secondly, imagine this was reversed. And imagine this was a video of Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola or Mikel Arteta or anybody else involved in the football game speaking about a referee in that way. How do you think the Premier League, the FA and the PGMOL would react to that? I would imagine that they would condemn it, that they would be charged, fined for bringing the game into disrepute, but all of a sudden it's no big deal? To you people out there who just don't want to let Liverpool have any type of little win, even if the evidence is so overwhelming that it's undeniable, your first reaction is to go to, well, no big deal, fuck you. If it was the other way around and this was your club, you would be absolutely seething, and rightly so. And here's the difference. I'd be here to support you. Because I've long said, referees shaft everybody. One week it's us, the next week it might be you. And this tribalism of brushing it off is what allows this fostering of this type of behaviour. We can't do that because it's a get out of jail free card for them. We as fans need to come together and call this out. Because yeah, it's funny laughing at us. Or yeah, it's funny when I laugh at United. But ultimately, it is impacting the credibility of the most popular league in the world. At a time where they already have enough headaches with the Manchester City charges and all the other irregularities that the Premier League are trying to get a grip on. We now have evidence that the referees are questionable, to say the least. Now, we might say this is just one bad apple, but it isn't. You know it isn't. I know it isn't. And there is just an acceptance that we have to just get on with it. No, we don't. We deserve better. The football world deserves better. So, Adam, you didn't put in a comment, bro, but I want to bring up your super chat nonetheless to say thank you, mate. And now I'm going to get into some of your comments because I just wanted to address the things I've seen today. And one of those things that really boiled my blood was the opposition fans. Some of them, by the way, just coming in to try and say it's no big deal. Imagine the shoe was on the other foot and it was United or Arsenal or Chelsea. You would be rightly just as angry as we are. Shane Bennett said, unreal, meant to be impartial, shithouse. Exactly. Exactly, mate. And the defence of, I don't remember doing it. Oh, sorry, that's not good enough. You know, we can't just all go out and use the I don't remember doing it defence. If any of us did something like that or spoke like that. So, remember, this is a time where the football family, the Premier League, the FA, FIFA, UEFA and every other body are constantly speaking about removing hate from the game. Respect. Remember those words? That you and I and everybody else get held to this standard. That if we said something xenophobic, racist, we'd be evicted from a stadium and banned, and rightly so. Here we have a referee speaking about someone's nationality and calling them a C word. That is hate. That is targeted hate. And that, my friends, falls into the same category as somebody throwing out another slur towards somebody's religion, somebody's ethnicity, somebody's nationality. It is disgusting. And we can't have this hypocrisy of the football world being held to one standard, the fans, and once again, players, referees and all, different standard. So the book needs to be thrown at this rat because that's what he is, an absolute lowlife. Salah challenge should have been a red before Nunes' goal. Absolutely. And do you know what gets me about it? Why wasn't it a red afterwards? So I heard Darren McGallagher say he got lucky because Darwin Núñez went and scored. And that VAR couldn't then tell him he was wrong. Why? Is VAR not there to clear up clear and obvious errors? And we've already come to the conclusion that he wasn't playing an advantage. Former referee Darren McGallagher said that himself. He clearly did this signal, meaning no foul, not play on, that's play on. No, he did this, no foul. So why wasn't VAR able to tell him to go back and send off Leon Bailey? Again, just making up the rules as they go along to suit themselves and cover the referees' arses. It's absolute bullshit. It wasn't even a yellow. And it wasn't the first one, Hoarder. There's another incident in that game as well where Lucas Digne was on Mohamed Salah's back like a backpack and advantage was played, which is fair enough. No problem with a referee playing an advantage. But he didn't come back and book him either. So, you know, we've long felt we've been shafted and we've been laughed at and ridiculed and mocked for it. And once again, we're shown to not be tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorists. There is clearly a lack of fairness from some referees. And look, do I understand that Jurgen might rub some people up the wrong way? Of course I do. I rub people up the wrong way. I understand it. But he's supposed to be a professional. And if he can't, he should recuse himself from refereeing Liverpool games. If he's unable to be unbiased out there, or not have a lack of fairness because of his position on Jurgen, well then recuse yourself from the game or say you don't think that you could be fair about it. But they won't do that because once again that would be them admitting to a fault. And we know one thing about the PGMOL and the referees is they're never fucking wrong, are they? Never. So Mic'd Up is tomorrow and we're going to have Howard Webb being interviewed by the Manchester United legend that is Michael Owen. And I just wonder what we'll get, if anything, around this David Coote situation. We'll get the can't talk about it, and investigations underway, should be condemned and ridiculed. And for him being a lying piece of shit, saying that it wasn't real, trying to hide behind the it's AI, nah, sorry, doesn't wash, because he's already been found out to be lying about that. Wes said, it's embarrassing, others just thinking it's funny and calling people woke for being upset. Mate, it's mental. It's absolutely mental. And look, I get it. Tribalism happens. You know, it happens in football. But we need to just look at the bigger picture, because if we don't, and I'm getting fed up of saying this, if we don't start to remove the tribalism from this, it is going to carry on. And yes, this week it's us. But like I said, for years, it's going to be you next week. And you're not going to like it when we're laughing, but it's not going to solve the problem. It just emboldens them and empowers them to carry on doing this stuff, because they know 19 other clubs' fans won't be fussed about it, but the team that gets shafted will. And they can just rinse and repeat and go on again. It's about time they start being held to account. Will they analyse the Coote video on Ref Watch? Well, to be fair to Sky, they have played the video, the two videos. They have, of course, bleeped out the swear words and that in it. But it is so clear that this is a problem. Now, the thing that I'm wondering is, why was it leaked? And who leaked it? Because I'm wondering if inside his own fraternity is he disliked. I don't know. I'm not inside the refereeing world. But why now? Why was it leaked? So, for those coming in a little bit late, and I understand that there are probably a few coming in, I'm going to really quickly again run through what's happened today. So, I was setting up for my video with David Lynch earlier on today, and Connor just quickly sent me a screenshot of something. So, I looked at it, and it was Steve Hoare who posted, David Coote was on VAR when, and then he said, Man United goal against Liverpool at Old Trafford wasn't overturned after a foul on Origi, Pickford didn't get sent off for his foul on VVD, and Odegaard got away with a handball at Anfield. But then I watched the video. So if you haven't seen it, in this video, there's David Coote and a man sitting on a sofa. I'm assuming it was in and around the time of COVID, because they spoke about social distancing and David Coote wearing a mask when he was fourth official. But they also mocked the fact that they were only, they said they were 2 meters away from each other and they were 18 inches at most away from each other. So they're already starting off the video by basically making out like rules don't fucking apply to them. They don't have to social distance. They don't have to do what the rest of us were doing. But then the video goes on. And the first question was, what do you think about Jurgen Klopp? And the response from David Coote was, he's a Clint. You know where I'm going with that word. So then he spoke a little bit further. What do you think about Liverpool? And again, similar things. Shit. What was the game against Villa, I think it was? Shit. And then he goes on to call Klopp a German Clint. And the video plays on. And nothing about that was joking. It was deadly serious. You could see it in him. So, the video was there. Then we seen the media start to talk about it. And we seen Lewis Steele's, the first one that I'd seen, to post, the PGMOL are aware of a video circulating apparently showing David Coote disrespecting Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool. They're investigating it now. Full story on the Mail. Then Paul Joyce tweeted saying David Coote being investigated over a video calling Jurgen Klopp a Clint. Then we had Transfer Sector, again from Paul Joyce, and the PGMOL instigated the investigation after the video was published on social media. The outcome could mean the end of Coote's career. But then David Coote's damage limitation came into play. And the Mirror reported Premier League referee David Coote vehemently denies inappropriate conduct and has been insistent to refereeing chiefs at the PGMOL that the viral video in which he appears is not real. PGMOL have tech experts examining the video. That narrative didn't last very long before once again he was shown up, because not an hour later, even less perhaps, we seen another one from the Mirror saying David Coote has admitted the video of him calling Jurgen Klopp a Clint is genuine. Again from the Mirror. So in the space of an hour there, he vehemently denies it. Like, not just, that's not me. Like, really doubling down on, that isn't me. This is fake. And then he admits it. But does he admit it with any good grace? And say, look lads, it was me, but I was worried about my career and I just denied it. It was just a reaction. No. What does this gobshite go and do? He then says, I don't remember it. I don't remember it. So, update from Darren Lewis, who said, Top Premier League referee David Coote is understood to have accepted now that the viral video in which he appears is genuine. However, it's believed he doesn't recall the content. I wonder why he might not recall it. I have my own take on it. I don't think that it was a couple of tipples, shall we say. I think that he comes across as very arrogant, and I think we all know, we've all got mates out there who perhaps when they're out on a night drinking become a little bit more arrogant as the night goes on for whatever reason. I think you know where I'm going with this. So I have my own guess as to the arrogance in the video from Coote, but to deny it, then admit it, and then not even take it on the chin properly and own it, he's a pussy. And they're the worst type of people. You know, everybody will make a mistake. We've all done stuff we regret. But own up to it. Not half-arse it by lying and then trying to say, yeah, it was me, but I don't remember it. Sorry, doesn't wash, doesn't matter. Whether you remember or not is irrelevant. You said it. Anthony Taylor and Simon Hooper should be shocking referee as well. So the guy that posted the video, and I don't know if he was joking when he said this, but he's also posted to say, Anthony Taylor, you're next. Now, I don't know if he has a video or anything on Anthony Taylor, or if it was just a wind-up or a joke. I really don't know. But I think, as I said, this gives us an insight into the type of man he is. Because he doesn't accept that he shit the bed. He tries to lie and manipulate his way out of it. Then when he's caught with his pants around his ankles, then all of a sudden, oh, it was him, but he doesn't remember it. No, I'm sorry, that doesn't wash. Like all of us going out for a drink, right? Let's say we go out with your mates. You're out in the pub. You get absolutely blind drunk. Then you get in a fight and you knock some lad out. And the next day you wake up and the police are knocking on your door and they're saying, you assaulted somebody last night, Mr. Houlden. We have CCTV video footage of you doing it. I can't just turn around to the police and go, I didn't do it. I don't remember doing it. I don't remember doing it, so therefore I'm innocent. No, the judge isn't going to buy that. The police aren't going to buy that. And nor should we buy that in this situation. Because whether he remembers it or not is irrelevant. He lied about it yet again. If he's not suspended, what kind of message is it sending? He is suspended. He has been immediately suspended by the Premier League with immediate effect. I don't know what the outcome is. None of us will. But he has been suspended. He wasn't that drunk. He was clear, not the sound of somebody who would forget it. Oh, again, I think he may have been a tad drunk, but as I said, I feel like he may have had an enhancement to keep him going for the evening, would be my guess. Are you going to Anfield this season? If so, what game? I am, Adam. Yes, mate. I'm going over to see the Lille game in January in the Champions League, the second last Champions League group game. Can't wait. And actually on that, I'm getting over to Liverpool. A reminder, this Friday, we are going to be live in Liverpool, the Hot Water Comedy Club. If you want to come and see us, you can get your tickets with the link above or in the description of this stream. And again, to everyone that's bought their tickets already, thank you. It's shaping up to be a great night on Friday, and I'm so excited to get over. So, some more of your comments. Can almost guarantee he'll get away with it, just not be allowed to referee Liverpool games. See, I don't think that washes though, Kelsey, because he can still impact Liverpool even if he's not refereeing our games. You know, I'm going to point again to the game between Manchester City and Everton, where a very blatant handball against Rodri wasn't given. Guess who was on VAR for that? And that then meant, of course, that we didn't win the league. So they can still have an impact on us, even if we say they're not officiating our games. And that's the worrying thing. Now, Rudolph the Red, I have no way to say that that's the case. I don't. But let me just say, I don't think you're the first person that perhaps thinks that may be the case. But we have to say, we've got no proof of that. This is about money. Obviously, the guy needs to be sacked, but it won't change anything because those in control of the video will find someone else to do their bidding. I think we have to have a proper conversation now. And Gary Neville, by the way, before he even chimes in on this, and I don't really give a shit what he has to say, he needs to shut up. Because I'm sick of listening to Neville talk about referees have to be respected. How dare Liverpool or Arsenal or anybody else talk about maybe making a legal challenge against officials who've shafted them. How about maybe we have the grown-up conversation where we look at the PGMOL and ask, are they still fit for purpose? Because I would suggest that any football fan you ask feels like there are some referees that aren't fit to do the job. They just aren't. And I don't like the fact that in a world where there's plenty of money in the game of football, we still have localised referees who are there and may have some inbuilt dislikes or inbuilt allegiances or family ties or anything like that to clubs. Why aren't we at that point where we have the top level referees in Europe alternating around different leagues? This conversation needs to be kickstarted because the PGMOL just do not take enough responsibility for the actions of their referees and the mistakes that they make. Managers, fans and players are held to one standard, but referees seem to be able to get away with a lot more. As I said, imagine if Andy Robertson threw the elbow towards Konstantin Hadzidakis. Imagine that situation was the other way around. How do we think that was going to end up? But, to be fair to many of my fellow Liverpool fans, a lot of people said, not great in the heat of the moment, but they don't want Konstantin to lose his job. And I was one of those people as well. Because, look, we all lash out and yes, he was in the wrong. But as I said, if that was the other way around, you know, and I know, that Andy Robertson would have been made an example of. Because no league in Europe would want our refs, Craig. Well, that's an even bigger conversation again that needs to be had then, isn't it? You know, it's a joke. And look, there's some good news for Liverpool today, by the way. Harvey Elliott has stepped up training and returned to full training today with the under-21s, which is great news, of course, as well. It's great to have Harvey Elliott out there on the pitch, getting back to fitness. So, look, there is some good news today for us as well. So right now we've got Manchester City being investigated for 115 alleged breaches of Premier League rules. We've got referees admitting that they dislike Klopp and Liverpool and have had some major impacts on the destination of Premier League titles in recent years, and I would say relegation and promotion as well. And we're just supposed to keep just thinking and wishing the best of everybody. We're not allowed to actually say this is shithouse. And it needs to be stopped. We do. It needs to be stopped. Because we don't imagine these things. We didn't imagine Martin Odegaard's handball. We didn't imagine Luis Diaz's goal getting ruled out. We didn't imagine Jeremy Doku kicking McAllister in the chest. We didn't imagine Rodri's handball against Everton. We didn't imagine Divock Origi getting pulled down on the halfway line when Manchester United countered the score at Old Trafford. But we were told we did. We were told to stop crying. We were told to get on with it. Well, once again, Liverpool fans are being justified here because the proof of the pudding's in the eating, and there's a lot of eating going on here. Been saying the same thing for years, said James96. These local refs grew up like the rest of us hating on certain teams. Exactly. And that's understandable, mate. You know, what gets me is, as Aldo said in his Echo article this week, that it's mad that all of these lads all support lower teams, isn't it? Notts Forest, or excuse me, not Notts Forest, excuse me, Forest fans. Notts County, Altrincham, some other back end, no team. Of course they're going to say that they support lower tier teams because they don't care about not being able to referee and officiate lower tier games. They want to be able to be around the Premier League because that's where the money is and the prestige is. So again, Are we supposed to buy that none of these lads in any way, shape or form have any allegiances to certain clubs in the Premier League? Even though family members might be season ticket holders elsewhere or whatever. There's a lot of mental gymnastics going on here to think the best of these guys. And they get nothing but pats on the back with, it's a tough job to be a referee. Yes, but can we also admit that maybe, just maybe, some of them are shithouses? Remember what Rick James said? I actually don't, to be fair. On this one, I'm going to have to feign ignorance. I don't know what Mr. Rick James said. Wait, so the guy that leaked our video is planning to go after Anthony Taylor next. See, I don't know if that's a joke or if it's serious. The post is there yourself. Go on to X and Twitter and have a look at it. But I don't know if he means it as a mocking, joking thing or not. So, I'm going to ask you for tonight's poll about your trust in the PGMOL and their officials. Now, before I put up this post, I'm going to ask anybody who's watching, whether you're a Liverpool fan, a United fan, an Everton fan, an Arsenal fan, a Chelsea fan, a Spurs fan, whoever you support, just answer honestly about your take on the PGMOL and their officials. Is the PGMOL fit for purpose is going to be the question. So, 1 second. Okay, so question is, as a fan, do you think the PGMOL is fit for purpose? Yes or no? And we'll see how that poll gets on. Kavanagh was on VAR for the Rodri handball. Stop giving out false information. So, that's not my information, by the way, mate. I'm not the one who posted about it. Can someone just look into... And look, mate, I'm not afraid to say if I'm wrong. I'm telling you what's being posted about. And if he wasn't on VAR for the Rodri handball, fair enough. I'm absolutely no problem putting my hands up to that one. But it doesn't undermine the rest of the point, does it? And once again, that's the angle you want to go with here, Freddie. So you come in to say, stop spreading false information. And if I've made a mistake on that one, mate, no problem whatsoever. Happy to put my hands up. But what about the other stuff? What about the Divock Origi one? What about the situations that we spoke about with the Martin Odegaard handball incident where Michael Oliver, I believe, who was the referee, wasn't asked to have a look at the monitor? Does that just negate all of that because maybe I got one thing wrong? And look, I don't know if I did or not, by the way. I haven't had a chance yet. Coote was the linesman for the Rodri handball. Sorry, linesman. So he was involved in the game. So I didn't exactly just make that one up. So he was there, involved at the game. Whether he was linesman or whether he was part of the refereeing team, shall we say. So my sincere apologies. But I expect to see you back in, mate. You know, saying, yes, Craig, you're absolutely spot on about the rest of it. I'm just a prick. Charlie said, the day Mike Dean openly said he didn't call his mate back to the monitor for a decision was the day I lost my trust in the PGMOL. And you know what? You know those people who tell us all about removing hate from the game and, you know, preach to the rest of us about it on Sky? What did they do? What did they do when Mike Dean came out and said that he didn't do his job and he didn't send his mate Anthony Taylor to the monitor? What did Sky do? They rewarded him by employing him as a refereeing consultant. That speaks to a lot, in my opinion, because there's no way I'd be bringing in somebody who's admitted not doing their job and lying. But they reward them. The rest of us are held to this standard. But, you know, apparently We don't all have the morals we profess to have. And Coote was involved in the VVD injury of Pickford. Yes, he 100% was the VAR for that one. And again, wasn't even asked to go to the monitor. So Pickford, clean VVD out, not asked to go to the monitor. Odegaard, handball, very blatant. And remember the audio from this, by the way. Moving away from the ball. He turned his arm in to move the ball away from, I think it was Salah, if I remember correctly. It just tells us what we all know. That they're all full of it. Michael Oliver, Paul Tierney and David Coote, City's MVP, said Cohen. I just hope that this kickstarts a genuine conversation around the referees and their role in the game. Craig, sorry, what does fit for purpose mean? It means fit for the job they're supposed to do. Are they able to fulfill their duties as an organisation the way we would expect them to? Remember, we were supposed to have the semi-automated offside technology in at this point as well, but still needs to be trialled and tested a bit more. Can't mic up referees though. Oh Jesus, no, we couldn't hear what the referees are saying. Heaven forbid. So they can't be interviewed. They don't want to be mic'd up. They don't want to communicate with anybody. And they make shit up. Do you remember the docu one? Both of them coming together going in high. Now I know that wasn't Coote, by the way. I'm just talking about the audio from that incident. Do you remember it? Both of them going in high as McAllister gets kicked in the chest. And then we had Kyle Walker out praising Michael Oliver for his brave decision. Charlie, I've got good news for you, bro. Does anybody else want to tell Charlie? Charlie, I don't know if you were with us last night, mate. I guess you probably weren't. Last night I said I am 100% finishing the job we started here at Anfield Agenda, and I'm not going anywhere. My wife and I sat down and talked about this the other night, and I'm not giving these fuckers the benefit of the doubt to see me walk off into the sunset. I'm here to do my job, and I'm here to grow our community to the biggest Liverpool fan community on the internet, and these fuckers can watch on and hate, because it's all they can do. So yeah, mate, I'm not going anywhere because of all the support I've received. So I want to say again, another huge thank you to you all for that, because it made me realise that yes, there are a lot more people who have my back than don't have my back. And these fuckers can just watch on in bitterness, because that's all they can do is watch. So Rudolph the Red said, the game should always be fair. I'm not a Liverpool fan, but seeing confirmed what we've all known for a long time, how do we solve it, do you think? So my suggestion, Mr. Rudolph, was that we don't have English officials refereeing Premier League games. You know, there's two reasons for what I'm about to say. One, we all think that there are some inherited biases, whether conscious or subconscious. And I'm absolutely open to the fact that it's just human nature. But most importantly, for me, the differential between what you're seeing awarded in the Champions League for handballs and penalties and what's week in and week out in the Premier League, I don't think it benefits anybody that the players have to almost learn two different sets of rules. So for me, I've always been an advocate for the idea of there to be a refereeing centre of excellence, where we've got a group of referees, let's say Europe's top 5 leagues, and they rotate around. So 1 month maybe, or 1 week they're over in this league, and then another one they're over in this league. So they get a more well-rounded refereeing experience, refereeing in different environments with different types of football. The players then get some type of consistency over the level of officiating and the tolerance for a handball or what may be a red card incident. And there's enough money in the game to make that happen. So that's what I personally would like to see with this, is there to be a genuine conversation that maybe we have to look to a centre of excellence, or to be centralising the refereeing situation. Because look back to the game for, who was it? Was it Arsenal's handball was against them against Inter? That handball never gets given in the Premier League. Never. And everybody I've seen speaking about it said the same thing. So I think it's incredibly unfair to Arsenal or to Liverpool or to anybody else in European competition that this standard and the tolerance of a foul or a handball changes based off what competition you're playing in. You know, they have made football and what are relatively simple rules very convoluted unnecessarily. And I've been around the game since I was 7 years of age, 36 years. And right now, as a grown man who watches football religiously, I don't know what a handball is. I don't. I know what I think it is, but I don't know what's going to be interpreted as a handball. I was disgusted when Arsenal conceded that penalty against Inter Milan. Disgusted for them, because it was never a penalty. And every week in the Premier League, that wouldn't get given. But in Europe, it is. So that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see this centralised, what would you call it? School of excellence or centre of excellence for officials, and them to just go around Europe's top 5 leagues alternating. Right, I have a couple more super chats to get through. Harry said, "Oh my God, you're staying. Love you, mate. Saved my life." Well, thank you for the kindness, mate. Yes, we've unfinished business in this content space. So again, I can only apologise for being as all over the place as I have been in the past few weeks. You know, sometimes personal stuff gets in the way as well, and I get in my own head. But yeah, we're not going anywhere, bro. Best news that you're staying. Best Liverpool fan channel. Thank you. And I can only apologise again for putting you guys through that, because, you know, in a clearer head, with a clearer mind, I probably would have just kept that to myself for a little bit longer and sat on it. But, you know, my wife basically talked sense into me. So again, I want to thank her and you guys and apologise for that whole situation, because, you know, I'm not going to lie, sometimes these things do hurt. The centre of excellence for referees who don't ref too good. Yeah, Brennan, we could call it the Derek Zoolander Centre for referees that don't referee too good. Maybe Mr. Zoolander can pop in there with a few quid to help it out. So you got your reference. I'm actually quite proud that I got that reference. Brandon said, "Hope you're well. We all love watching your videos when I'm on a break at work." Thank you. I got a lovely story off my daughter's boyfriend. So he works in a factory, and he's new to the factory. So many people weren't really talking to him that much. He was gone about his own thing. And then in the car driving down to the factory last week, one of the guys turned around to him and goes, "Do you ever watch that Anfield Agenda, lad?" And then he said to them, "Well, yeah, I'm going out with his daughter." And now all of a sudden he's made a lot more friends, and I love that. I love that our community and our content has brought him closer to his work colleagues as well. Though I don't know whether these lads like us or hate us, but it was interesting, and it was a nice moment. We've got your back, Craig. Don't listen to those idiots. You're the voice of Liverpool and we love your content. All the best to you and your family. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate all of it. But look, let's check in on the poll, because, oh my days. So keep voting, by the way, if you haven't. On the poll we've asked, as a fan, do you think that the PGMOL is fit for purpose? So able to do their job as intended? Adam said, "Craig, my brother, hope you and the family are well. Just want to say how happy me and my little Aiden are that you're staying. This is more than a channel for us. AA our family." You're my family as well, mate. And sometimes I just need to remind myself of that. So thank you, and lots of love to Aiden as well, and everybody who's watching. You know, to be part of a small bit of your daily lives means so much. It really does. Joe said, "A simpler version of your refereeing idea would be to have UEFA themselves supply the refereeing and officiating to England and the Premier League. the other top 5 leagues also have UEFA refereeing. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was usually, Joe, when I come up with an idea, bro, they are a little bit convoluted. Yeah, they do go a little bit off on tangents and stuff. But yeah, you've simplified it there, and you know what you've said rings true. I would absolutely back calls for something along the lines of what you've said. So, did anybody get a chance in the madness today to actually watch the video with David Lynch that we did earlier on today? Because I thought it was quite interesting speaking to David earlier on. We spoke about the situation with the contracts, and what I found very interesting was David saying that whatever happens with Mohamed Salah, with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and with Virgil van Dijk won't be down to FSG. It will be the decision made by Richard Hughes, Michael Edwards, and the sporting team, and that FSG empower these guys to make these decisions. So I can understand that, to be fair. Like, I probably would be of a mindset of, well, you put these guys in that position, but I also do understand that these guys have earned the trust and respect of John W. Henry and FSG, and, you know, empowering people is an important part of I guess, running a business or a successful operation. So I understand where David is coming from, but I still kind of don't understand what's taken so long with regards to any clarity around what Trent wants to do. Because, you know, I tried to explain the situation with regards to, I could understand the pauses to see who was next after Jurgen and stuff like that, but ultimately I think the club, the manager and the coaches have answered a lot of these questions about, is the next coach going to be good enough? Are we going to be still challenging? I think the answer to those are all yes. So I don't know what Trent needs convincing of. And one more thing actually that was in the video that I found very interesting was it doesn't look as if there's any way Caoimhín Kelleher will be here next season. You know, so yesterday we spoke about a theory I had in my mind, which is, should we maybe look and moving Alisson on to keep a 25-year-old Kelleher and a 24-year-old Mamardashvili? And David's thinking is pretty straightforward and clear on this one, that he believes, come what may, it's very unlikely that we see Caoimhín Kelleher at the club next season. And I've got to admit that made me a bit sad because, you know, I feel like Kelleher's been done a little bit dirty in this whole situation. I don't know what more he could do to convince anybody at the club that he is good enough to be a number one at a club like Liverpool. But I also have to respect that, you know, I'm not the one making these decisions, and, you know, Georgi Mamardashvili is a great goalkeeper in his own right, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing him come in, but it just feels like a shame because Kelleher's been so good, and we're probably not going to get the biggest of transfer fees for him because he'll have 1 year to go at the end of this season as well. So we've then built up this great goalkeeper at 25 years of age with his own hard work, of course, as well, and we're not even going to see the benefit of that too much financially. It doesn't again speak to clever succession planning outside of the Mamardashvili part. I mean, he's in the form of his life and we're going to get very little money for him. Michael Manning, how are you, bro? And thank you, Michael, for being with us for 15 months as a member. Really appreciate that, mate. And thank you for your sentiment as well. Stargirl, how are you, my friend? Said, I don't understand why our refs have to be English. Also, VAR should be separated. I agree with your suggestion. I'm glad to hear you're staying. Thank you. So I guess the argument back from this, if you were the Premier League or the FA or the PGMOL, might be, well, if you put all the power for refereeing and the refereeing appointments into UEFA's hands, who's to say that maybe that system doesn't end up being, I don't want to say corrupted because I don't know a better word here, but there might not be holes in that system as well that perhaps are going to annoy or anger people. I just feel like, I hope this is a catalyst for a conversation around referees in the UK or in the Premier League, because I think something needs to be done, something drastic, because they just are not, too many of them are not good enough. And yes, it is a difficult job, but some of these decisions, they're not even. 50-50s. They're pretty clear, and we're just not seeing referees go and do their jobs or be told to go and do their jobs. And again, this isn't a Liverpool-centric thing. I think this is whatever club you support, you're going to have a referee or two that you know damn well doesn't have your best interests at heart. Some channels saying Alisson could be leaving this summer, said LFC Shankly. So, in my forming of this conversation around the goalkeeping situation, I have always said that there has been a chatter that maybe Alisson may look to move on in the mid to near future, whether it's in the summer or the summer after. Which kind of just brings me back to my point of, if there is a world that maybe we lose Alisson, whether it's this summer or next summer, surely it's worth keeping Kelleher, trying to convince him to fight with Mamardashvili to be the number one, extending his deal and cashing in on the goalkeeper who has uncertainty maybe around his future at the club and around the injury concerns for hamstrings with Alisson Becker. If we end up in a situation in a year's time where Kelleher's sold, Alisson decides he wants to leave, and we're left with Mamardashvili and potentially Yarosh, who are yet to be fully proven, I just feel like we've missed a trick in maybe keeping Kelleher around. But as I said, it's a difficult topic to have a conversation around, because I say all this and then the next words out of our mouth will be, but in my opinion, Alisson's the best goalkeeper in the world. Because in my honest opinion, Alisson is the best goalkeeper in the world. But if he does want to have another chapter in his career somewhere, well then we need to plan for that. And not just with a Mamardashvili coming in. We need to plan to make sure that we have this strength and depth in the goalkeeping department like we do now. Mr. Darwin said, as a Liverpool fan, I'm pissed at the Coote video and I think he needs to be fired, but I think I would feel that way no matter which club I support. Who knows how many grudges that jerk has. I'd like to think that if I'd seen this video breaking today and it was around a referee saying this about Arsenal or Chelsea or United, that I would be equally as outraged. Because it would just make me feel like, well, if this lad is like this about that club, the referees that I think maybe don't like my club, maybe there's something to that as well. Because we always get told we're conspiracy theorists, or we're thinking too deeply into these things, or we're joining dots that aren't there. Well, sometimes they are. And sometimes it needs to be called out. So, we've had over 1,000 votes, and 88% of people in this brief survey feel that the PGMOL is not fit for purpose. So 88% of people that took part in this poll feel the PGMOL are not good enough at their jobs and are not serving the football public well enough. Surely that says something. Ty Carr said, Kelleher's been done dirty for sure. Makes no sense keeping Alisson, sell to Saudi for big money. It was, you know, if you've watched the video yourself, you'll see it was very clear that David Lynch believes that there isn't a world where we keep Kelleher because of the contractual situation and because Queevy wants to play. You know, I'm not trying to do David Lynch dirty here, because he's most probably correct. I just feel it'll be a crying shame if we don't try. Because, you know, I see if I'm in Kelleher's position, I'm feeling shafted by the signing of Mamardashvili, and maybe I want to leave. And looking around yesterday, I think, and David said this as well, that guy that's in net for Chelsea, Sanchez, he's shocking. And if I'm Chelsea, as David Lynch has said, I'm looking at Kelleher and thinking, bring him in, because he's better than Sanchez. He's way better. Yeah, that goal that he conceded at his near post from Martinelli yesterday was shocking. Shocking. Michael Burns said, I think Michael Oliver should be investigated next. So, look, there is no evidence to suggest Michael Oliver has ever done anything untoward. We should say that clearly. We might not like his decision making, we might disagree with it, but there's no evidence to say otherwise. Now, the whole situation about refs going on these handy little jaunts over to Saudi or Abu Dhabi or elsewhere to referee and officiate games, that stinks, and thankfully they're not going to be able to do that anymore. But it still does speak to the influence over these guys, you know? Why is there a need for referees in other leagues to fly in Premier League referees that happen to officiate in a country where they own a prominent club in it? If you can't see that that is a potential conflict of interest, I don't know what to say. Nick said, you don't spend that kind of money on a backup keeper. I think Mamardashvili is the heir to the throne. Sad for Kelleher, but that is the business. So, my point is, let's say we sold Alisson and got 50 or 60 million. Well, you've more than paid back for Mamardashvili, and you still have two goalkeepers at the club who are 25 and 24 and have 7 or 8 years of service between them. And who's to say that we couldn't have a Champions League goalkeeper and a Premier League goalkeeper? It's never really been done properly in the Premier League because there hasn't been a club that have two goalkeepers of the calibre to deserve it. Arsenal tried it with Ramsdale, but with respect, I think Kelleher's a better goalkeeper. So, what I just don't want to happen, Nick, and my worry is that we lose Kelleher and then maybe we lose Alisson as well. Now, we all believe in Mamardashvili. He looks like a great goalkeeper, but we've no evidence yet in a Liverpool shirt or in the Premier League what that looks like. We also don't know per se how long he may take to settle in or not. So I just think I don't want us to go from a situation where we've got an abundance of riches, Nick, to one where maybe we're again worried about the department and we end up with a situation where I have to look at the likes of Adrian San Miguel in goal again. Rudolph the Red said, even though I'm a United fan, I would never wish harm on any of you. It's rivalry and banter, that's all. That's where it should end. Don't give up, Craig. You've more lovers than haters. Thank you, mate. Look, I've always said United fans, mate, have always been very good to me. And I always have a respectful rivalry with them. And that's what it is, mate. It's a rivalry built on respect. And it's a rivalry built on sporting competition. So, yeah, I never want you to win a game. And yeah, you never want me to win a game. But I'd never wish any bad on the club. I'd never wish any bad on any individual working at the club. I just want us to beat you into submission every time we play you. And I want to see you get poor results. But that's out of respect. When I speak about Manchester City, I don't speak with respect. Because I don't have any. Because I don't like this iteration of Manchester City and what they stand for and what they're about. So, thank you for your comment, because it means a lot. And like I've always said, if Arsenal win the Premier League, I'll be on here to congratulate them. If United win the Premier League, I'll be on here to congratulate them. I'll be saying it with a lump in my throat, but I'll be saying it as a good sportsman because I mean it. If City win again, I don't care because it doesn't mean nothing to me, because I find the whole thing suspect, at least, to say the least. Like, the whole thing stinks to me, and it always has done. But that's it. Those great sporting rivalries, mate, they are built off mutual respect, aren't they? And also the two clubs, Liverpool and United, they've pushed each other on over the years. They've built each other up into bigger clubs. Both two port cities as well. Both European Cup winners, although we've twice as many. Both have legendary former managers. Both been through some disasters and tragedies where the other club behind the scenes were very helpful and reached out a hand of friendship. So that's what it's all about. And that's what sport is about. You know, you go out there, you do your best for 90 minutes or whatever, and then you shake hands and you go to fight another day. Craig, no one said Coote was being xenophobic. He referenced Klopp's country, Germany. Yeah. I'm saying he's being xenophobic. He called him a German, Clint. To me, that's xenophobic. I don't think it's racist, because Germans aren't a race of people. So I'm saying it. I've not accused anybody else of saying it. I'm saying it. Me, Craig Houlden, is saying that is a xenophobic bullshit comment. Why bring his nationality into it if you don't think he's trying to undermine his nationality or where he comes from or belittle Germany? Why bring it in? Why not just call him a you-know-what? So, again, you're trying to poke holes in something I'm saying when it's abundantly clear that he's a lowlife. It looks, in my opinion, that Kelleher will leave and now he's in the process of upping his value. I'm judging from his demeanour. The problem, though, is we've only got 1 year left on his contract, so we're not going to get the full value of Caoimhín's extraordinarily good performances. So, look, I hope for Caoimhín, if he does leave Liverpool, I wish him a great career as an Irishman, as a former goalkeeper, and as somebody who admires him greatly. But it's another situation where Liverpool aren't going to see the full value of somebody who they've helped bring to this position. And we're talking about looking in the barrel now of Trent, Virgil and Mo maybe going for nothing. We got very little money for Mane. We got no money for Firmino. And these situations aren't ones that I think are clever from the club's perspective when we need to make every penny count. So if we're to sell Kelleher in the summer, we should have been selling him for 50 or 60 million quid because he's shown to be this brilliant goalkeeper. But now we're in a situation where he's only got 1 year to go. And again, it doesn't speak to great business sense, in my opinion, behind the scenes. We would never sell Kelleher to Man United or Chelsea. Want to bet? We wouldn't sell him to United, but we'd absolutely sell him to Chelsea. Why wouldn't we sell him to Chelsea? I don't understand that. Liverpool and Chelsea have done business in the past. And if it's the right move for him, and it's the right move for his family and his career, and Liverpool are happy with the numbers, why wouldn't we sell him to Chelsea? How true is it that Gary Lineker knows Liverpool's transfer targets? I don't have a clue, my friend. I don't have a clue. I've no idea around Gary Lineker's knowledge of Liverpool's targets or not. I haven't got a clue. Am I saying Clit or Clint? Clint. So I'll tell you the joke. So the reference point for Clint, by the way, is in a show called Early Doors, where they were talking about an old Clint Eastwood film. And one of the guys, you know the old movie signs where you put the letters up on the board? One of the lads put the L and the I a bit too close together, and it didn't quite read Clint Eastwood. That's where I am with tonight's stream title, because, you know, I can't use certain words, so I have to get creative. So I'm definitely saying Clint. What do I think of Salah this season? Amazing. Joseph, there's only 2 players in Europe's top 5 leagues that have a minimum 10 goals and 10 assists at this point in the career or in the season, and they're Mohamed Salah and Omar Marmoush of Eintracht Frankfurt, who has, I think, 14 or 15 goals and 10 assists. So it's incredible. You know, the numbers Mohamed Salah is putting in is just phenomenal. And if he is asking for a 2-year contract extension, of course, we have to say none of us are inside these negotiations, so we don't know. It feels like it should be a no-brainer. From a fan's perspective, of course. Do you think Trent stays? I don't know what to think about the Trent situation. Off my gut feeling, no, I don't think he stays, but I do think if he doesn't stay, he'll view it as a mistake longer term. I really don't know. Like, as I've said many times, I've tried to look through this process with Trent and look at it through his eyes on certain situations. So when Jurgen left, I totally understood that Virgil, Mo, Trent or anybody else wanted to see who the next manager was before maybe committing the next part of the career. But then the club went out and they brought in Arne Slot. And now the lads have had a chance to work with Arne Slot, to see what he's about, and to see that we are still going to be competitive and Liverpool are still going to be challenging. So I don't think it's about the club going in the right direction for Trent. I think it's just going to come down to whether he wants to try something different in his career, or he wants to just, commit the peak of his career to Liverpool Football Club. So when he makes that decision, I'm sure we'll find out. But I'm running out of reasons to think, okay, well, I can understand why he's still thinking or delayed. At this point, I don't see what there is to think about. You either want to stay or you want to try something new. And I just think we need transparency on this as soon as possible for everyone's sake. Shane, how are you, bro? Said, yes, Craig, as you said, all proper rivalries are built on respect. United and Liverpool, Kerry and Dublin, Federer and Nadal. Exactly. All built on respect. Messi and Ronaldo, again. You see both of those at the Ballon d'Or. If one's winning it, the other's sitting there looking like he's chewing on a wasp. But he's still there. He's still applauding. And then you've got Real Madrid talking about respect when they don't know the fucking meaning of the word, Shane. Not showing up. Their delegation of 50 people that were supposed to attend the Ballon d'Or ceremony. And because Vinny Jr. didn't win the award, they talk about respect. Say what you want about Ronaldo and Messi. They showed up. They applauded the other one's brilliance. They probably said to themselves deep down, I'm getting that award next year. And they inspired each other on to be better footballers. That's respect. I don't see that with Real Madrid at the minute. It looks tin pot and pathetic and spoilt and petulant. Ooh. So, this just come in to me. Mirror Football. Liverpool, Man United and Chelsea are locked in a £50 million fight to sign Bournemouth left-back Milos Kerkez. Liverpool are desperate to sign him as Robertson's long-term successor. Interesting. I mean, he's certainly a name many of you guys have been bringing up in many weeks, but that's I would have liked this before we recorded with David, so I could have asked, but I will certainly touch base with Mr. Lynch and see if he's heard anything on that one. Interesting. David said, I'll say something very unpopular. Trent leaving benefits the club long term. If he stays, he'll end up as captain, and Trent is one of the last players who should be captain. He's too arrogant for that. So, I don't see Trent as a leader, personally, but I don't view him as arrogant either, because I don't know him. I don't want to talk about somebody's character or their body language or anything, because I don't know if he's arrogant or not. But I don't see him as being vocal enough to be a leader. Now, maybe he leads in a different way. Maybe he's a lead by example type of guy. I don't know. But I don't think there is a world in my mind where I think losing Trent for nothing in any way is going to benefit the club. In my warped little mind as a Liverpool fan, I did always have an idea that maybe someday somebody come and knocking for Trent, and maybe Liverpool would have a difficult situation and an offer to maybe mull over. But I was thinking we're talking 70, 80 million upwards for that headache. To potentially lose him for free, I there's no way in my mind that I can ever dress that up as a positive, no matter what comes from it. It's just, it just feels like a big mistake. Know your history said, I agree 100%. Trent seemed to want to find an excuse to leave. Otherwise, he should be camped outside Slot's office with a pen. So, I feel this way. If Trent said to Richard Hughes tomorrow, I want to commit my future to Liverpool Football Club, I feel like there would be a contract offer with him very quickly, and I don't think the money's going to be a problem. Because Liverpool will understand that they have to pay Trent a premium. They will know this. So I feel in this situation it's down to Trent. Whereas with Virgil and Mohamed Salah, I feel like they of course have to get their points across and how they feel, but I feel that ultimate decision is more with the club. Because they have to balance up a potential drop off in form or whatever over the next few years. None of that applies to Trent. Coote buying plums and Morrison's from now on. I don't understand that. What is Morrison's, a shitty low chain? I don't know. We don't have Morrison's in Ireland, so I don't know where Morrison ranks in the supermarkets. Like, are we talking Lidl and Aldi, or are we talking Marks and Spencer's? Like, where are we here with Morrison's? I don't know, mate. We don't have Morrison's. So I'm going to ask you about Kirkes now. I'm going to ask, would you be happy with him for 50 million? 1 second. Did I spell his name right there? Yeah. So, would you want Liverpool to sign Kirkes for £50 million? We'll leave this running until 10:30 when we finish the stream. So, vote yes or no. Rusba said, oddly enough, the Coote thing made me miss Jurgen. Look, it doesn't take much to make us miss Jurgen, does it? You know, I'm sad, obviously, that period came to an end. I do feel it was the right time to end that romance. And I'll always, always, always be eternally grateful for having had Jurgen as Liverpool Football Club manager for 9 years. It was incredible. But I also have to say this. I don't miss him as much as I thought I would because of the manager that we also now have. And my belief in Arne Slot and him being able to carry on the good work of Jurgen Klopp. So, yeah, I get where you're coming from, though, mate. It also made me think, though, about how many people maybe did dislike him. You know, we always knew about some opposition fans, but, you know, he's one of those people that for us, he could walk on water. He was a god. But like Arteta maybe to Arsenal fans who they really like, he winds me up something fierce at times. So I do understand that maybe he rubbed people up the wrong way at times. But that kind of made me love him a little bit more even. Did you trust Jurgen from the start and think he'd be as successful as he got? So did I trust him from the start? 100% yes. But I didn't know what to expect. So I knew that we had got an absolutely incredible manager, and that if anybody was going to break that curse of not lifting the Premier League title, it would be Jurgen. But I didn't know 100% what to expect. But yeah, I'd no doubt he was the right appointment. You know, none. I said this back at the time, like there was a year or two into Jurgen's reign, and I was still pinching myself. I couldn't actually believe that we'd managed to snag Jurgen, you know, that FSG had managed to convince him to come to Liverpool. It felt like the most natural fit in the world, by the way, don't get me wrong. But it is the thing I am most grateful to the owners for. There's a lot of stuff I'm very upset with them about. There's a lot of stuff that I give them the credit for. But bringing Jurgen Klopp to Liverpool Football Club, they definitely do deserve a big pat on the back for that one. Charlie said, Jurgen kept his word, he'd leave us in a better way. Yep, he did. He said he would leave the football club in a better shape than he found it. And he absolutely did that. And not just that, mate. I would speak to the fact that he could have walked away after the season when we didn't get back into the Champions League. And he could have let it be that. But no, he stayed. Himself and George Smaka went in, brought in the midfielders that we have, the McAllisters, Soboslais, Gravenbergs, and put us back into the Champions League and on a good footing before we moved on. And that just speaks to the man. That just speaks to the dignity and the forthright nature of him. Like, he's just a man of his word. Must have been hard for Jurgen to motivate his players to win the Prem in 2020, considering he lost the game, got 97 points. Yep. And do you know what else must have been difficult, though? And I agree with you. Knowing deep down that maybe the likes of Coote were shafting you. Like, really knowing deep down that this lad hates you. And this lad does not want you to be successful. And that he has the power to be so influential in whether all the work you do on the training ground with your players and the sacrifices and all of that can be wiped away with some arsehole just not doing his job. That, I would imagine, would drive any rational person to anger, because all of us can accept losing if we lose to the better player, the better team, the better fighter, the better whatever. But if you feel like that wasn't the reason, deep down, knowing that some arsehole has undermined all the work you've put in and dedication because he doesn't like you, that's got to be tough. Farron Davies, how are you, my friend? Said, I like Kirkes, and yes, he's Prem proven, but that youngster at Brugge, the Kuiper, put a shift in against Villa and was good on both sides of the ball. Would like to see him at Liverpool myself. Thoughts? So, you obviously missed my conversation around my left-back choices, mate, and the two names that I've been speaking about in the last while, the Kuiper, by the way, was a more recent one, but it's him and ENQUIRIES. So I'm with you. I've spoke about the Bruges left-back as somebody that I would absolutely be looking at as well. I think he's a great footballer. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, mate. Trent's injury doesn't seem as bad. Would you want him to play against Madrid if fit? Of course. If Trent's fit, straight back into the team. And look, it does look like it's not going to be much longer than the international break. So I don't want to say for certain that Trent will be available as soon as the international break's over. I don't know that. But it does look like everybody did the right thing. As soon as Trent felt it, he alerted the bench. And then the bench immediately took him off. And it looks like that may have prevented this from becoming a worse situation. But we also have to understand that it does need to heal. You know, because as lucky as we maybe got here, we don't want to bring him back too early and then it to tear. So it's about getting the balance right. But it's definitely good news that he isn't going to be out for a prolonged period. Because, you know, he's an important part of the team. What's the ideal January transfer window for you? I'll be honest, mate. I think we just need a midfielder. You know, if we don't have any more injuries, I really think we could get through this season. Look, if a defender comes up that the club are happy with, either at left back or centre back, I'm all for that as well. But what I think we really, really need is that extra body in midfield. And if we can find who that is, whether it is a Zubamendi, whether it is somebody who I haven't spoken about yet, I don't know. But that's it. That's all I think we need to do. Bring in that midfielder and then I think we're covered. You know, we've got 6 quality forwards and a young Jayden Danns, 2 right backs, 2 left backs, 4 centre backs, 3 goalkeepers. I think we're good. Now look, in the summer, maybe if you're evolving the squad a little bit, that could be a different conversation. But for January mid-season, yeah, I just think making sure we don't fall away because of a lack of depth. That's where I'm trying to go with this. Adam said, Craig, bro, would it be possible for you to please wish my boy Aiden a happy birthday? He's going to be 12 tomorrow. Of course. Oh, man, it'd be my pleasure. So, I don't know if you want to clip this up or whatever, but Aiden, young man, happy 12th birthday. Thank you so much. For one, choosing the right football club, because you have. And 2, watching the channel and being part of our community. Because we need the next generation of fans coming through, Aidan. And look, I know sometimes I'm on here and I'm swearing and I'm saying some weird stuff, but ultimately, I hope that you enjoy what we do. I hope that you enjoy watching on with the rest of our amazing group of viewers. And happy birthday, young man. I wish I could go back to be 12 all over again, but yeah, happy birthday. And I'm sure I speak for all of the chat as well, Aidan. So have a wonderful birthday, young man, and thank you so much for the kindness and watching the channel, mate. It means a lot to us. Would you be happy with Marmoush and Zubamendi in January? Happy? I'd be dry humping the air, mate. You know, you'd come on here for the reveal video and I'd be humping the chair. So would I? Yes, it's fair to say I'd be happy. The only hesitation I have around Marmoush is who goes, because can we bring in a 7th forward? I don't think we need numerically a 7th forward, but if we are to look to change up attack in any way, whether it be a Salah situation, a Darwin situation, a Jota situation, I don't know. But yes, Omar Marmoush is the name, and I think I'm getting good vibes whenever I speak about Omar Marmoush, and whenever I talk to people maybe in and around the journalistic world or anything like that. It really feels like he's way more of an option for us than the likes of a Gyökeres at Sporting, as an example. And again, look, loads of people in the chat as well saying happy birthday to Aidan. And this is what I love about our community. Genuinely, they mean it. So, yeah, again, happy birthday, Aidan. And thank you, Adam, as well, for the super chat. What do I think about David Coote? Probably exactly what you think, I think, about David Coote, mate. I'm not surprised. Let me say that. I'm not surprised at all. What I am surprised about is how stupid these people are. You know? It's like me going and recording me having an affair with the wife. Or on the wife, sorry. If I had an affair with my own wife, that'd be good. It'd be like me going and having an affair with some young one, and her recording it and me waving at the camera. And then saying to her after she records it, you know that video can't go to my wife or go public. Like, in these type of situations, you'd ask yourself, what's the best case scenario here? And what's the worst case scenario? And there's no upside to that being recorded. So, I don't understand why he was talking to the camera in any way, shape or form, whether he was non-compos mentis or whether he was absolutely stone cold sober. What did you think was going to happen? Like, that's what I'm genuinely baffled at. What type of a dumb motherfucker sits there saying this stuff to a camera? And I don't know his relationship to this guy that's filming him, by the way. I have no idea if they're best mates, if they met on a night out. I have no idea. But I'm astonished at the stupidity. Like, I'll use proper words like naivety when I'm speaking with, you know, David Lynch or anybody else, because, you know, I want to be professional in the videos. But with me and you, absolute cabbage patch. Like, I don't get it. And once again, it's another example of these people, again, themselves being lowlifes. Because this guy in that video said, you know, we don't want to destroy the referee's career. You know, he's a Premier League referee. We're good people. We're not going to destroy his career. So how did the video get out? Because if that video was recorded and he shared it with even one person, then he's absolutely just shown himself up to be a lying piece of shit as well. You know, because if you were that concerned about being a good guy and that not getting out in public because David Coote was good enough to sit there and chat with you or whatever, where did the video come from? Somebody had to have leaked it, and it only came from one phone originally, so where did it come from? Bradley Warren said, Arne Slot already deserves congratulations for the best start for a manager of all time, maybe even the fastest statue of all time. So we are 17 games into his reign right now. 15 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss. And amazingly, he still hasn't won Manager of the Month. Make that make sense to me, please. 5 points clear at the top of the league and hasn't won Manager of the Month yet. Jack said, thanks for responding, means a lot. Oh, my pleasure, mate. Look, I always try to get into as many comments as I can. Obviously, I have to, prioritise the super chats and stuff like that because people spend their money and I don't want them to feel their money's wasted. But I always try to comment with as many people as I can because we're all the same. We're all just football fans, mate, in here having a chat. Curtis, how are you? Curtis Lang said, alright lad, I'm new to the channel. Being a Scouser, the Irish accent just stops me and makes me listen. Nice, I like that, mate. Thank you, by the way, and I hope you're enjoying the channel so far. It's always lovely to welcome in new people, mate. Appreciate you dropping by. So, hopefully you stick around, man, and we're all in here. We all love the club. We all love the city of Liverpool and the people as well. And of that, of course, I'm going to be there on Friday night. I can't wait. Hot Water Comedy Club. Tickets are starting to move quickly, which is great as well. So if you want to come and see us, again, you can get your tickets with the link in the top of the chat or in the description of the stream. And it is an all ages event, meaning that it is open to anyone of all ages. Surprisingly enough, that's what that means. Adam, just want to say a massive heartfelt thank you to you, Craig, and the amazing family. My little boy will be so made up. Oh, mate, pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And again, I hope he's a wonderful birthday, mate. I really do. And cherish these years. Because they grow up so quick. I have a 12-year-old boy myself. And it doesn't feel like yesterday that he was in my arms as a little infant. Like, it's mad. The years go by so quick. Mansi Verma, thank you for joining Anfield Agenda FC, my friend. Appreciate your support. Look, ladies and gents as well, I don't think I've mentioned this during the entire stream, but if you can hit that like button for me to get us up to 1,000 likes, that would be amazing. And if you haven't subscribed, we'd love you to hit that subscribe button as well. We're closing in on 281,000 subscribers, and we really do appreciate your support. Later on in this week, by the way, there'll be no content Thursday, Friday, Saturday, most likely, because we're going to take a little bit of downtime during the international break. And of course, we're headed over to Liverpool as well. So just if you don't see us post for a few days, there's nothing wrong or anything like that. We're just catching a little bit of downtime because there's no international breaks again now until March. So we're going to be, 100 miles an hour, foot to the pedal between now and the end of the season pretty much. So we just want to catch a little breather while we can. Do I think Liverpool will win the treble? Said Benedict. I mean, I don't know, bro. I hope so. I think it's possible. You can never confidently predict winning the European Cup as an example because the draw, has to go your way and, there's going to be some tough games. But we're not going to be too far away from the major trophies this year. We're already in the quarterfinal of the League Cup, a game away against Southampton coming up. If we get through that, which I'm confident we will, you're in a semi then, and, Wembley's on the horizon. Champions League, right now, we're in a great position. We absolutely trounced Leverkusen, went away, beat Milan comfortably as well, went over to the Red Bull Arena, beat Leipzig, and we've got a big test to come against Real Madrid. So, yeah, it's hard to say for certain what the future has in store, but it's great to feel so optimistic. He's been involved in so many dodgy decisions, an inquiry is needed. Yep. And look, I don't believe in accidents. I don't. And I don't believe in that many coincidences. So, I feel a little bit, as a Liverpool fan, I feel a little bit vindicated by some of the anger we felt at some of these decisions. And I felt at the time like there was no reason for the referee not to be sent to the monitor for that Odegaard handball. None whatsoever. I didn't like the explanation that I heard on the audio of the VAR as well about the movement of his arm. None of it added up to me. And now I feel like I'm not mad. I'm not imagining it. But what happens from this point, look, everybody deserves to fight their case. Everybody deserves a fair hearing, and David Coote is no different. He deserves to explain his situation, present his evidence, and look, we'll see what happens. It's difficult to speak about this when we don't know the outcome, but I just hope, like I did when the mistake happened with the Diaz goal that wasn't given, I just hope this is used as a springboard to really have a proper conversation about refereeing in the Premier League. Something that isn't going to be hard over the next few days is transition. Saying goodbye to some of the club greats like Alisson, Virgil will be hard, but it's inevitable. Yep, that's unfortunately sport and life, isn't it? You move on, and greats come and go. But you know, rather than look at it like that, think about who's the next ones we're going to fall in love with. You know, who's the next Alisson, the next Van Dijk, the next Salah, the next Robbie Fowler, the next Steven Gerrard. You know, so yes, we will lose some greats, but we'll gain some new heroes along the way. Was Coote involved in Gakpo's chest getting kicked? No red for Mings. He's the referee for the game against Villa, so, you know, for whatever good that is, you know, he was there on the pitch. Paul Tierney was the VAR for the game. I'm really excited for us to play Real Madrid. Having had a poor run at Anfield, you never know. It's an England Euro 2020 video game. Yeah, it's going to be a really interesting week, that. So we've got Real Madrid and then, of course, Manchester City. The City's the priority game for me by a country mile because, you know, even if we got a poor result against Real Madrid, I still feel we're comfortably going through in the Champions League. But if we can get a victory over Man City and Anfield in the league, that's a huge dagger through the heart of their ambitions. And, you know, again, we'll just keep up a great start to the season. And yeah, I'm buzzing. I'm so happy. 9 points clear of Arsenal, who are still being spoken about as title contenders. Well, then we must be dead certs at this point. How much do referees get paid? So there was an article around this, and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I remember an article reading that the referees in, I think, 3 of Europe's top 5 leagues get paid more than the Premier League counterparts. But there are articles out there with the exact numbers. I just don't know them off the top of my head. Sinister said, we need to beat City to shut up Neville and those other pundits who keep doubting us. Yep. Like any narrative that they tried to form, I want us to squash. So it was firstly, we haven't played anyone. Then it was Arsenal fans clutching at straws saying we hadn't played anybody away from home, even though we'd been to Old Trafford and their gaff, which seems to escape their notice. So, yeah, let them keep doubting us. But, you know, all we can do is look after our own games and keep trying to pick up those 3 points. So, I'm going to say goodnight to you all. I'm going to record a news recap video for the morning as well. What day is tomorrow? Tuesday. I will see you tomorrow night at 8:45 for the late night agenda. I'm also recording a couple of videos tomorrow night with All Red as well. So looking forward to catching up with Sam. Keep an eye out for those videos dropping on their channel, All Red. So yeah, much love, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. And again, thank you for everything, for all of your support. And again, young Aiden, happy birthday tomorrow, my man. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Much love. Oh, one more favour. Do hit that like button for me. We need 168 more likes to get to 1,000. So if you can hit the like button on the way out, would really appreciate it. And the result of the poll is that 67% of you guys would like Kirkes for 50 million quid. 67% voted yes, they would like Kirkes for 50 million quid. Much love to you all. And again, thank you. Do hit that like for me though if you can before you head off. Talk to you soon.